Good afternoon. Happy Friday. Welcome to RSBN Live. I'm Matthew Alvarez. At 3 o'clock, the president participates in a swearing-in ceremony for the Special Envoy for American Landowners. And the High Plains Journal is reporting country music singer and businessman John Rich has been named that Special Envoy for American Landowners at the U.S. Department of Agriculture, where he will advocate for farmers, ranchers, and private landowners on issues involving private property rights and rural communities. So he'll be at the White House attending today's 3 o'clock event. And since today is a down-home country live stream broadcast when it comes to our American landowners, farmers, and ranchers out there, of course, we have a lot of live interviews in store for you. Let's do this. We're going to go directly to country artist Mackenzie Fipps, who has performed the national anthem several times out there. She also joins us right now live. And of course, on July 4th, you performed. So tell us where that was at and what is it just like, America 250 now that we are 250 years young?
Yes, I had the wonderful opportunity of going out to Rome, Georgia this past holiday for the 4th of July and performing for their Freedom Festival. And it was an incredible event. I was so happy to be a part of it and to be the headlining act. And to just think that our country is 250 years old is just insane. It was an honor to go out there and perform for everybody. We sang some patriotic songs, some good old country songs, and some of my originals. So it was a blast.
That's so awesome to see. And then on top of that, we have a rendition of your Star Spangled Banner rendition that happened recently. We're going to play that here shortly. But outside of that, as you move forward, and we do have the copy. I just heard from the director. We were just getting it ready for you. The new song that you have out now, too, you have one that's getting released today, right?
Yes, Devil Ain't in Hell.
Can you tell us about that one?
Yes, I had so much fun writing this with one of my good friends that I actually made on season 28 of The Voice, Miss Aubrey Nicole. We got together during the process of us recording for the show and came up with this killer duet. I'm so excited that it is out now. It's just one of those good old-fashioned revenge country songs, and I feel like it'll definitely get you moving, that's for sure. So it is available anywhere you listen to music. You can just go check out Mackenzie Fipps, Aubrey Nicole, Devil Ain't in Hell, anywhere you listen to music.
Isn't it awesome to be an American? You can sing what you want, really. You have freedom of speech, and then you're out there patriotic as well. So we're going to play that rendition of the Star Spangled Banner that you sang. Now, I believe this was from maybe December of 2025, sometime around then. Was this kind of you just singing in a gymnasium, or what was this audio recording from?
Yes. So, I actually got started singing in general, like to the public with the national anthem when I was only 10 years old. So, I have sang this song so many times. I always say if I had $1 for every time that I've sang it, I could probably buy a brand new guitar. But I love getting the opportunity to sing it at any sort of, sports event, patriotic event, anything that needs the anthem. And I actually had my hometown, ever since I was on The Voice and stuff, they've always been so supportive of me. And they were like, we want to have a recording of you singing the national anthem so we can play it wherever we need to play it. So I was really honored that they asked me to do that, and I whipped up a recording.
Awesome, and that's the recording we're about to listen to. And of course, country artist John Rich at the White House today as part of the president's 3 o'clock event, which I believe will go from closed to open press. We'll see what happens. But yeah, your thoughts about that, the fact that we have John Rich and Jason Aldean and all these other people out there that are saying, hey, we're conservative, we're on the right side of history.
Yeah, I think that it is an incredible opportunity for them to get to go and perform. I believe it's going to be a awesome event going on today, especially with President Trump, and I hope everything goes well.
Awesome. Mackenzie Fipps, thanks again for joining us here, country artist. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome stuff there. All right, so let's do that. Let's go right to the national anthem. Why not start our broadcast with the Star Spangled Banner, especially on the heels of celebrating our 250th anniversary. Now, what you're going to see is a number of videos that I've taken over the past, couple years. Anytime I see the red, white, and blue or Old Glory out there, I'm that person that gets out the phone, records it and just, whatever. So I used all those recordings on top of the song here because it's an audio-only song. So it's kind of a collab of ways, I guess. So anyway, let's listen to that, and then we have a lot to get to here on Right Side.
Oh, say, can you sing by but so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets rang loud, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
I wonder how we'll be ending this broadcast a bit later today. Of course, we'll be playing that one more time. That was great. And that last picture there was just, returning from a trip, and I saw in a neighborhood there, I saw the American flag almost like it's Christmas time, but it was still for July 4th. And I didn't really edit that picture in with thinking the words of Home of the Brave. And that's exactly what that kind of worked out to be, a home. It was awesome to see that. Anyway, if you're just joining us, that was Mackenzie Fipps, her rendition of the Star-Spangled Banner. We just interviewed her just a second ago. We have a lot to get to, as I mentioned earlier, including this. Let's go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. More Americans, of course, are looking for health care that's simple, convenient, and puts patients first. And that's one reason we're proud to partner with All Family Pharmacy. Actually, that's one of many reasons. But most pharmacies, they simply fill prescriptions. But All Family Pharmacy is focused on making the entire experience easier. Instead of long waits, endless phone calls, and crowded waiting rooms, you can complete a secure online medical questionnaire, have a licensed physician review your information, and if appropriate, provide a prescription. Then your medication is shipped directly to your door. And they offer more than 400 medications, from everyday prescriptions, ivermectin, antibiotics, wellness therapies like NAD+, Samorlin, and methylene blue. And when you have questions, you can talk to a real member of their team, including a licensed pharmacist. Other pharmacies that are out there, you might have to leave a voicemail, you'll get a call back maybe in an hour, but here, all you have to do is call that number on the screen. You get your questions answered very quickly. We all, of course, appreciate those services that respect our time, give us more choices, and make life a little easier. That's exactly what All Family Pharmacy is doing. So just go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Save that 10%. Just use the RSBN 10 promo code at checkout. Also, give them a call, 561-717-6794. Let's go to our next sponsor here on right side. You see Birch Gold Group. You can buy some gold, put some silver in your pocket at the same time, because today is the last day for this July 4th special event that's been happening. And, a lot of times you think about the prices of things out there, and buying gold is kind of expensive. But one thing you can control right now that doesn't cost you anything out of pocket is to diversify your retirement savings. So Birch Gold Group will help you convert an old 401k from a previous employer or an IRA into a physical IRA in gold, something that's really a hedge against inflation. And check this out. Right now, Birch Gold is going to give you a special America 250 1-ounce silver round for every $10,000 you purchase by today. So think about this. 10 years ago, an ounce of gold was about $1,200. Today, it's around $4,500. And where will it be 10 years from now is the question. So just text Trump to 989898 to take advantage of free America 250 silver with qualifying purchase before July 10th, or today is the last day again. Again, text Trump to the number 989898 as it's 11 minutes after the hour here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Beautiful Thomas Jefferson Memorial in Washington, D.C. And, You know, at 3 o'clock, the president does have an event that is closed press currently. He'll participate in a swearing-in ceremony for the special envoy for American landowners. So country music singer and businessman John Rich has been named special envoy for the American landowners at the U.S. Department of Agriculture, where he will advocate for farmers, ranchers, and private landowners on issues involving private property rights and rural communities. He'll be at that event at the White House today at 3 o'clock. So most likely we will see this live. We'll see what happens. Of course, we can cover it at different angles if that's not the case. I was just reading a quote from the High Plains Journal, the journal all about agriculture. So as we shift gears, we have a lot again to get to. So in the meantime, President Trump, of course, fresh off of his trip back from the NATO summit in Ankara. Let's take a look at a few highlights in clip number 1.
We just concluded a very successful NATO summit here in Turkey, and I want to thank President Erdogan, who's really a great man. He's a great leader. And I also want to thank NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte. Mark is an extraordinary person, smart, great leader. It's not easy leading so many leaders like that. Over the course of the past 2 days, I had a number of excellent discussions with other leaders at the summit and held productive bilateral meetings with President Erdogan of Turkey, as well as President Zelensky and President al-Shara of Syria, who's doing an unbelievable job in unifying Syria. What a job he's doing. In every conversation, it was clear that America is back and we're stronger, bigger and better than ever before. This was a tremendously successful summit. I just want to say there was tremendous love in that room.
All right, so the president back there, of course, in Washington, D.C. We may see him in a little bit. Regardless, it's always good to see the president and hear him go back and forth with some of those reporters there at the Oval Office. Okay, so we know that that's happening in about an hour or less. We'll see. We also know a flashback Friday, of course, as promises made, promises kept. You know, this is the Make Washington, D.C. Safe and Beautiful Again. That edition. Let's take a look at this White House video from March of 2025 on this Flashback Friday.
We're going to rebuild our cities into beacons of hope, safety, and beauty better than they have ever been before. We will take over our horribly run Washington, D.C. and clean up, renovate, and rebuild our capital so that it is no longer a nightmare of murder and crime. We're going to get all the graffiti off the marble. We're going to fix the roads and the medians, which are falling down all over the streets. Washington, D.C. will become a symbol of beauty, security, freedom, and strength.
And speaking of President Trump, he said on Truth Social in clip number 3, I will not sign the housing bill, which has been fully approved by Congress and sent to the White House, in protest over the fact that the United States Senate is not capable of passing the Save America Act, which is polling at 97% with the Republican Party and very high with the non-politician Democrats. The act states quite simply that to vote, a person must show photo voter ID, proof of citizenship, and that there will be no more crooked, corrupt, and destabilizing mail-in ballots. The exceptions for military, disabled, illness, and travel. The president says the Save America Act's non-passage is crazy and a serious threat to any politician who votes against it. If the Democrats or any rhino, or worse, the president says, working with them, do not allow a positive vote on Save America, terminate the filibuster, and pass this and every other bill that true Republicans have ever dreamt of, in addition to the upcoming budget bomb and the 1929 catastrophic-style debt ceiling bill, the Democrats will terminate the filibuster, and if and when they are ever get the chance to do so, in the very first hour. And I will no longer be able to call them Democrats again. The title of dumb will revert to the Republicans who allowed this horrible calamity to happen to our party and our nation itself. Make America Great Again, President Donald J. Trump. I know that's a whole lot of words right there, but there's a lot of content in there, specifically when it comes to passage of the Save America Act. Then the president also, a little bit later, posted this as well. The Islamic Republic of Iran has asked us to continue, quote unquote, talks. We have agreed to do so, but the United States has stated to them in no uncertain terms that the ceasefire is over. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. Meantime, Secretary Rubio recently posted a video about a horrible crime carried out by an illegal alien. Here's that clip now.
Just weeks ago, a convicted sex offender and a foreign national was shielded from deportation by the governor of Minnesota. Laotian national Tu Li Vang was convicted of repeatedly sexually abusing a 10-year-old girl in the state of Minnesota. He even tried to pay his victim for her silence, and he called his heinous crimes a minor thing. Just days before this foreign sex offender was scheduled to be deported, Tim Walz, the governor, issued him a pardon, setting him free to once again endanger the children of America. Well, this week I revoked his legal status in the United States, and as a result, federal agents took him into custody, and as of today, he has been removed from the United States. Because of our action, this foreign criminal will never pose a threat to any American ever again. Americans must never be forced by their elected leaders to live alongside foreign sex criminals who have no right to begin with to reside in our country. This administration will always stand with the American people and defend them from violent criminals.
All right, so Secretary of State Marco Rubio speaking about that atrocity there from an illegal alien, but it's great to see that ICE and others are taking care of business the best way they can as law and order prevails in the United States of America. I know there's a lot going on out there in the country, but wow. All right, so let's do this. Let's go to one of our sponsors here on Right Side. As you see that live picture there in DC, Kalshi.com/RSBN. Of course, the QR code. You could download the app if you'd like. You can go to Kalshi.com/RSBN. 3 ways to get to this great site. Now, once you get there, you'll see a number of topics, political topics, specifically elections. You can see sports or music, movies, all sorts of stuff, science, technology, weather, faith. The list goes on, and a lot of people are saying, you know what, I'm going to bet on this, or I'm going to trade on that, or I'm going to at least check the polls on it. So you can do the same if you'd like. A lot of content right there on Kalshi.com, and more than 1 million new people on that site, and that number, of course, continues to grow. Let's shift from Kalshi to one of our other sponsors here, CovePure.com/RSBN. As you guys know, we just celebrated America 250, Freedom 250, but the crazy part is 250 years later, we're still here drinking whatever the government decide to put in our water, fluoride for our teeth, or chlorine to keep things clean. Well, that's not really, of course, a decision that someone else should be making for your family, which is why you should be trying CovePure, because over 209 million Americans are on fluoridated water right now. And here's what the science actually shows. A recent study confirmed that fluoride exposure is linked to lower IQ scores in children. And that's not just a fringe study, just some whimsical thing out there. That's from JAMA Pediatrics, one of the most respected medical journals in the world. And on top of that, you have the chlorine that you have to deal with this water. And that isn't even the worst part. It's what happens when it reacts with natural particles in the water from plants and soil. It creates chemical byproducts called THMs, which the government itself calls probable human carcinogens, linked to disruption of your gut and cancer. Sure, states are moving on this. Utah and Florida banned fluoride, but that process takes years. Your kids, your family, they're drinking this water today, and you really need something that works now, and that's exactly what CovePure is. They're certified to remove up to 99.9% of contaminants, fluoride, THMs, pharmaceuticals, PFAs, anything that isn't water gets filtered out. And look how great it looks on screen. If you're thinking this is some complex home system that you're gonna have to drill holes in and get it all installated, you don't have to have that happen. This thing just plugs right in. It makes your water taste great, and the best part is it gives you whatever temperature you want, hot, cold, or warm, instantly with a tap of a button. So don't wait for the government to catch up. Take back control of your water. And in honor of America's 250th, CovePure is giving you guys $250 off if you use that link that you see on the screen, CovePure.com/RSBN. So great sponsors here on Right Side. Let's do this. Let's take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back here on Right Side.
It's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Welcome back to Right Side Broadcasting Network. Live look there in Washington, D.C. on this Friday, July 10th. It's 2:23 Eastern Time. Thanks again for live streaming in or watching on replay. In other news that we're tracking, we go to New York City as this September 11th will be the 25th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks. And according to an ABC Bay Area report, quote, a quarter century after the terror attacks of September 11th left a gaping void in Lower Manhattan, American Express broke ground Thursday on its new headquarters. It's a tiered glass and steel tower at 2 World Trade Center. We're told this is going to be a 55-story, 2 million square foot building with more than an acre of outdoor terraces and gardens. It's the last commercial development in the footprint of the fallen Twin Towers of the World Trade Center. We're told from Lisa Silverstein, specifically ABC Bay Area, getting this quote, this has been a long journey. Lisa Silverstein of Silverstein Properties, the developer of the site since 2001, she said this is the capstone for the World Trade Center, end quote. We're seeing that the skyscraper is scheduled to be complete in 2031 and rise 1,226 feet. And outside of any major breaking news from now until then, September 9th, September 10th, and September 11th is shaping up to bring the 24/7 news cycle into a very high gear. September 9th is the RNC Midterm National Convention, which starts in Dallas, Texas. The next day, September 10th, that second day of the RNC is happening. And also September 10th of this year, we remember 1 year since the late, great Charlie Kirk was taken from us. September 11th, the next day after that, the 25th anniversary of 9/11. So those are just big news events, of course, that the world, or at least the United States of America, will be really looking at, especially the midterm national convention, remembering the late, great Charlie Kirk, and also September 11th, the 25th anniversary. So that's a lot of news coverage. But we're still in July, of course, and we have a lot to get to through July and August. But we'll see what happens as we have a number of live interviews coming up here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. We're going to head to New Hampshire in just a little bit. We're also going to go to Virginia. Then we'll be going to Ohio, and then I believe Indiana. So we have a few states that we're going to be heading to as we possibly see the president at 3 o'clock at the top of the hour. Again, this is all about an event that the White House was talking about via the press release to the media, that the president will participate in a swearing-in ceremony for the special envoy for American landowners. And again, hearing that the country artist John Rich will be involved, at least being there at the White House as well. So looking forward to possibly seeing that coverage right here on Right Side, or just in general over the next course of the 24 hours. So, all right, let's do this. Let's go back to clip number 1. We know that President Trump, fresh off his trip from the NATO summit in Ankara, for those of you just joining us, let's take another quick look at that video right now.
We just concluded a very successful NATO summit here in Turkey, and I want to thank President Erdogan, who's really a great man. He's a great leader. And I also want to thank NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte. Mark is an extraordinary person, smart, great leader, not easy leading so many leaders like that. Over the course of the past 2 days, I had a number of excellent discussions with other leaders at the summit and held productive bilateral meetings with President Erdogan of Turkey, as well as President Zelensky and President al-Shara of Syria, who's doing an unbelievable job in unifying Syria. What a job he's doing. In every conversation, it was clear that America is back and we're stronger, bigger and better than ever before. This was a tremendously successful summit. I just want to say there was tremendous love in that room.
All right, so as we await our next live interview, we're going to go to New Hampshire, as I mentioned. We'll be speaking to the retired Navy SEAL Bill Brown to give us his thoughts and insight and analysis on the war in Iran. Of course, President Trump saying the ceasefire is over. He's also in New Hampshire for an event that's happening today, specifically Swim with a Mission. It's for our veterans. And then they're having some big event up there. It's actually this huge paintball event that a number of veterans are taking part in, and it's all about helping our veterans. So we'll get some more information as soon as we head to New Hampshire. Let's just go to a couple sponsors before we do that. Let's go with mypillow.com/RSBN. You see, of course, Mike Lindell there running for office in Minnesota. It would be great to see him as the head of state, at least Minnesota State, for a number of reasons. Being on the right side of history is one of them, the big one. And then, of course, all of the election integrity and election security that he is really bringing, or at least unveiled so much truth out there. Outside of that, mypillow.com/RSBN, a lot of great products, as you guys know. Let's also go to a chance, if you'd like to, donate to Right Side. All you have to do is go to rsbnetwork.com/donate to donate to Right Side. And thank you to those of you that have been doing that over the years here on Right Side. We are more than or over 10 years old. We're approaching, I guess, what, are we 11 years old now? 11 years in a sense of being on air at Right Side Broadcasting Network. So good stuff. All right, let's shift now to New Hampshire, where retired Navy SEAL Bill Brown is standing by live to give us the latest on Iran as the president says the ceasefire is over. And he is decked out because he is at an event there, a huge paintball event that is ran by Swim with a Mission, which raises money for veterans programs. So, Bill, I hope we can hear you with all that behind you.
Hey, Matt, it's an honor to be on. Yes, Swim with a Mission does a lot for veterans. Swam.org. Anybody who wants to donate, help to this great cause. And I'm honored to be here with the Manchester Police Department. We love our country, and thank you for having us.
Definitely. So this is awesome. I mean, first of all, thank you for your service to this nation as a Navy SEAL and all the things that you guys are doing out there for veterans. I just find that awesome to see, giving back all the time that you guys are doing. So why don't we do this? Why don't we talk Iran quickly and talk about your insight there on President Trump said the other day at the NATO summit, hey, the ceasefire is over. What are your thoughts?
The president is doing everything he can for peace, but the president's not naive, right? He realized that, the IRGC are jihadists, and it's all about free shipping. We can't have jihadists basically hold hostage one of the largest energy shipping lanes on the planet. And so the president's doing the right thing. The gloves are off, and he's moving forward.
And we're seeing that happen as we speak. I mean, as we follow the United States Central Command. And for those of you just joining us now, this is Bill Brown. He has been on the network before. He's not hiding his face. Don't worry. He's been with us here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. And I understand that you also have this event coming up because you run the New York City SEAL swim team too, and you're helping 9/11 families. Can you tell us about this upcoming event as well?
Matt, I really appreciate your patriotism for our country and how you support veterans and Navy SEALs and Gold Stars. The New York City SEAL Swim is one of the most patriotic events in our entire nation. Anybody who's interested, nycsealswims.com, nycsealswims.com. It's a beautiful event, August 15th. It brings SEALs together, veterans, police officers, firefighters, patriotic Americans, to honor our nation, to honor our fallen, to celebrate being Americans and in love for our country.
Do you have next to you, I believe, the founder of the event that you're at in New Hampshire, Phil Taub? Is he there with you?
No, well, I'm downrange right now, and Phil wasn't able to come in with me. because of timing. But Phil is he's the organizer and the founder of Swim with a Mission. And I can tell you something, Matt, this is a great group that goes out of the way to help veterans. It's an amazing event. There's literally thousands of people here. It's just such a beautiful event. Look at that beautiful flag right behind me. Just so amazing.
Yeah, and I love the shirt too. Can you show us around a little bit out there? I mean, are you in the middle of a paintball zone right now?
Yes, sir. You ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, here we go.
So as you see, this is live on Right Side Broadcasting Network. This is a big paintball event for veterans out there. That's Bill Brown, a retired Navy SEAL. Bill, why don't you go in there? Let's see some action here. This is kind of fun, actually. I've never done this before. Again, this is in New Hampshire. This is Swim with a Mission. So there's a huge paintball event happening, and it's all for veterans. And I actually have some information from Bill's team here. So Swim with a Mission is a New Hampshire-based nonprofit founded in 2017 by Phil and Julie Taub to honor and support America's veterans through signature events, including open water swims, leadership challenges with Navy SEALs, and community fundraisers. This organization, Swim with a Mission, has raised and distributed more than $13.6 million to organizations providing critical services such as mental health care, service dogs, housing, suicide prevention, PTSD treatment, scholarships, and support for Gold Star families. Let's take a live look at what's going on here. Hopefully this is on a full screen.
Manchester PD right there.
All right, that's amazing stuff. Bill Brown, retired Navy SEAL. I don't know if I've ever seen a live paintball event on any kind of news program on Earth, so maybe that was a first. But Bill Brown, thanks for being a rock star and joining us here, and thank you again for your service. And try not to, maybe, I don't know, you're a Navy SEAL. I don't need to tell you what to do. You don't need to put on some extra clothing if you get hit by a paintball.
Matt, I'm grateful and honored. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, sir. All right, Bill Brown joining us live here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's great to speak with him about various things that are happening out there. And, you know, I was speaking to some of his team, and they told me he's going to be at a paintball event. I said, that's all right, let's do it. All right, we got a lot to get to. Of course, we have coming up the associate editor for Newsbusters, Nick Fondacaro, will talk to us about an op-ed he recently wrote about The View. Also, RSBN's Megan Kohler will be joining us coming up at about 3:30. This all depends on if we see the president, though, coming up at 3 o'clock, because there's an event. It's closed press currently, but if it opens, we'll take you there. And we could always record these other interviews that we have slated live coming up. But it'll be great to speak with Megan about that Washington, D.C. trip that she had along with Matt Cain out there. I believe it was June 24th to kick off the Great American State Fair. And then, of course, then Megan was in outside of Rapid City, South Dakota at Mount Rushmore on July 3rd. So we'll just get a kind of a nice debrief of what that was like out there. If you remember some of the coverage here on Right Side, on June 24th, Megan was going from state to state in that state fair that's there. It's still happening until July. Actually, today's the last day for it. So if you are literally watching this and you're in Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, DC area, you can still check it out. I think today's the last day. Anyway, so she'll be talking with us about that. And there's a beautiful picture of New York City, the Statue of Liberty, of course. And as I mentioned earlier, a lot of news events coming up. You know, we'll be tracking stories, whether they're, you know, developing news, breaking news here over the next month, 2 months into September, when September 9th, again, will be the first day of the RNC Midterm National Convention in Dallas, Texas. Then on September 10th, the nation, we the people on the right side of history, honor and remember the late, great Charlie Kirk. I can't believe it's almost been a year already. And then September 11th, again, as we saw that New York City live picture there of the Statue of Liberty, will be the 25th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks. I worked in New York City and New Jersey back in 2010 to 2014. You could check the internet if you'd like. But anyway, and obviously I wasn't there for 9/11, but I heard from a lot of the photographers I worked with in the New York, New Jersey market, the stories of 9/11 from the photographers' perspectives of being down there when the towers were coming down, or the aftermath when the families of loved ones that perished, they put pictures of, at the time they were missing, so it's September 12th, 13th, 14th of 2001, up on the news vans of saying, hey, have you seen my son? Have you seen my daughter? I mean, these stories were unbelievable. And that was back in the day, riding around in those news vans in the streets of New York City, all the places, if you've been there in New York City, Fifth Avenue, all the places, but in the news van, and hearing from the actual photographers that were there on that day. And a lot of it's difficult because you can watch a lot of those videos on Rumble, on YouTube, and you get into that rabbit trail of just keep watching them, and you just remember things like the patriotism that happened in our country after that, right? I mean, you think about New York City and the New York Yankees. They were in the playoffs, and George W. Bush walks out there onto that pitcher's mound and pitches that first pitch and all of that. You think about those days. You think about maybe when George Bush, when he was on top of the dirt pile there at 9/11 and saying that the terrorists, that they will hear us and they'll hear us soon, and the firefighters chanting USA. Now, that was what I was seeing back in the day. Did I know that G-Dub was not a right side of history patriot? You know what I mean? Well, not a great president, in my opinion. That's my opinion. And I think it's a lot of people's opinions now, especially those of you on the right side of history. Anyway, the point is a lot to remember coming up this September. So we're not there yet, though. Again, we have a lot to get to from now until then, including events like today at the White House, where President Trump will be meeting with various people, including John Rich, the country artist. We know that specifically that this event is all about American landowners. So there's a swearing-in ceremony for the special envoy for American landowners, and country music singer and businessman John Rich has been named special envoy for American landowners at the U.S. Department of Agriculture. So I'm assuming we'll see Brooke Rollins, we'll see John Rich, we'll see the president. And it's always great because we know that President Trump and the Trump administration has the back not only of the American people, but also our ranchers, our farmers out there. So this is one of those broadcasts that if you caught us at the beginning of it, started at 2 o'clock Eastern time, and we had Mackenzie Fipps on. She's a country artist. She performs the national anthem in various places. She has her own music, that kind of thing. And talked with her PR team and had her on. And we also got a clip of the national anthem. We're just thinking of our country today from that down home country feel, if you know what I mean. There's just a lot going on. Anyway, let's go to a couple of our sponsors. Got to get back on track here sometime. All right. So allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN is one of the great sponsors here on Right Side. More Americans, of course, are looking for health care that's simple, convenient, and puts patients first. And that's one reason we're proud to partner with All Family Pharmacy. Most pharmacies fill prescriptions. All Family Pharmacy is focused on making the entire experience easier. Instead of long waits, endless phone calls, and crowded waiting rooms, you can complete a secure online medical questionnaire, have a licensed physician review your information, and if appropriate, provide a prescription. Then your medication is shipped directly to your door. They offer more than 400 medications, from everyday prescriptions, things also like ivermectin or antibiotics, wellness therapies like NAD+, Samorlin, and methylene blue. And when you have questions, you can talk to a real member of their team, including a licensed pharmacist. Isn't that a breath of fresh air that you can actually speak to a human on the other line, not AI, not leaving a voicemail? And especially when it comes to medication, you want to get your questions answered, and you can get that with All Family Pharmacy because, of course, we all appreciate services that respect our time, give us more choices, and make life a little easier. That's exactly what All Family Pharmacy is doing. So just go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. At that checkout, use that RSBN 10 promo code. You'll get 10% off. You can call them at 561-717-6794. Birch Gold Group is also another great sponsor here on Right Side. To get the ball rolling and to get a free info kit on Birch Gold Group, just text Trump to 989898. And today is the last day for this deal that I'm about to share with you, because a lot of people are saying, okay, well, buy gold and get some silver in your pocket. Well, how in the world are you going to buy gold? I mean, it's pretty expensive stuff right now. But one thing you can control right now that doesn't cost you anything out of pocket is to diversify your retirement savings. So Birch Gold Group will help you convert an old 401k from a previous employer or an IRA into a physical IRA in gold, something that's really a hedge against inflation. And check this out, right now Birch Gold is going to give you a special America 250 1-ounce silver round for every $10,000 you purchase by today, July 10th. And think about this, 10 years ago, an ounce of gold was about $1,200. Today, it's around $4,500. Where will it be 10 years from now? Text Trump to 989898 to take advantage of free America 250 silver with qualifying purchase before July 10th, which is today. Again, text Trump to that number 989898 for more information. So this is what I'd like to do next. As we are awaiting our live interviews and looking at various news stories that are happening out there and some various commentary, all the things, let's take a commercial break. But before we do, those of you watching on Rumble, YouTube, and the live chat, let's do this. What state or what country in some cases are you watching from? I want to read some of those and connect with you guys on the other side of this commercial break.
Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Brightside Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Brightside Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Welcome back to Right Side Broadcasting Network. Let's see, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania in the House, South Carolina, Minnesota, Texas, Michigan, Florida, Kentucky. Where else is everybody watching from? You should see how small these words are on the screen right now. I should just probably look on my phone, but where is everybody else watching from? I see Minnesota. So awesome to see you guys here with us on Right Side Broadcasting Network. I was thinking about, we talk about we the people a lot, right? And this is what it's all about. It's us. It's we the people. Really with no woke agenda, anything like that. And speaking of woke, don't get me started on this one, guys. So yesterday, right? I'm not going to say what the book was, but it was a book for children. I have a 2-year-old, almost 2 years old. We also have a newborn, 2 months old. So 2 under 2, as they say. And so I'm there reading this new book to my almost 2-year-old yesterday. And it was all about colors, right? Blue, red, orange, yellow. All right, colors. And each, so say it was blue. So it would be for blueberry or blue car or whatever. So you get all the way to the end of the book and it says, okay, rainbow. I'm like, okay, hey, rainbow. That's cool. God made the rainbow. And then, of course, it was at the bottom right corner in the little imagery. Remember the blueberry for B, blue? Rainbow flag. There it was, guys, rainbow flag. Really? A rainbow flag, huh? Again, any way that the woke mob wants to get into your child's head, and boy, I went out to my wife and I went up to grandma out there and I said, guys, look what we see here. And I took it and I ripped it right out and threw it right away. I almost want to throw the book away. It kind of fired me up a bit because a lot of you guys out there, you see these stories. You hear about parents that have to deal with their kids being around drag story hour, or all the strange crap that happens where, they're allowing men in not only women's sports, but how about in women's bathrooms, and all this sick crap that's happening. Take your hands off the kids. So I brought on 2 guests for later today on this broadcast. If we're live with the president at that time, I'll record them. But 2 kind of educational whistleblowers that are going to join us to get their reaction to that and to see what they're doing to combat this awful stuff. So for the first time as a parent, I kind of felt and I understood that even just the small imagery of a rainbow flag, thanks so much, book. I'm not going to get into the authors, the names, none of that stuff. But really, I didn't know that was at the end of that book. I don't know. I don't know. It fired me up. I think it would fire anybody up that is on the right side of history. They just really like to try and brainwash the kids. Even from my kid's almost 2 years old, and I'm reading this book, and that's what I see on it. Anyway, fires me up. I also see South Florida there. Let's shift back to where everybody's watching right now. A lot of great states out there, a lot of great people. Guys, thank you for joining us here on this Friday, July 10th. About 12, 13 minutes from the top of the hour, ideally, we hear from President Trump on camera live if the press event is open. Right now it says it's closed, but we saw that John Rich, or I heard through the grapevine, not through the White House, but I heard through the grapevine that John Rich will be at this White House event. So I'm thinking we're going to see President Trump in just a little bit. Before we get to our sponsors, thanks to our crew here at Right Side, they sent me something from the FBI Cincinnati. 8 men have been indicted for a plot to attack the Freedom 250 UFC event at the White House. That happened, of course, already, the UFC event, and kill government officials. Now, the FBI says the charges include conspiracy to provide material support to terrorists and conspiracy to murder a federal government official. The FBI and our partners acted swiftly to prevent violence and protect the public. Special thanks to the Danville Police Department, Knox County Sheriff's Office, Columbus Police, Secret Service, and a number of other agencies. That's from Ohio there, talking about these people that have been indicted for a plot to attack what already happened, of course, the Freedom 250 UFC event. So that is some news that we're following here on the network. So in the meantime, let's go to some of our sponsors as we stand by for some more live interviews on this Friday, July 10th. Let's go to our first one. You see right there, the freeusadoggift.com. Now, this is what I'm talking about. If you're just joining us right now, I was talking about another story. I'm not going to get into it again, but those of you that are that did hear the story, I like this kind of stuff, right? So I want to take a minute to speak to all the parents watching today. It's officially the dog days of summer, and if your house is anything like ours used to be, that means the dog sprawls out on the coolest tile floor, refusing to move for anyone. It seems our dogs tend to run the house, and honestly, we wouldn't have it any other way. And here's a fun fact. Our founding fathers were the exact same way. Turns out long before they were founding a nation, they were the original dog people. Tails wagging in the halls of Mount Vernon and Monticello, muddy paw prints on important documents, probably. Our founders love their dogs every bit as much as we love ours today. And with America 250, the birthday, of course, that we just celebrated, what better way to get kids excited about history than through the goofy, loyal, tail-wagging companions who were there for it all. Our friends at the Kids Guide have put together a great guide called The Kids Guide to the Founders' Furry Friends, giving kids a fun and heartwarming look at the dogs who stood and sat and probably begged for scraps beside our nation's founders. It's the perfect keepsake souvenir for kids, and they're giving it away for free at freeusadoggift.com. Plus, when you request your copy, they're also giving you a second free guide called The Kids Guide to the Founder's Message for Today, a must-read for every child. So, during these dog days of summer, head on over to freeusadoggift.com right now to get these free guides for your family and help celebrate America's 250th birthday the right way. Let's go to our next sponsor here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. We're approaching that 3 o'clock hour, tnusa.com/RSBN. Of course, if you have a few taxes that are just, sitting out there, maybe you never filed, or you just a bunch of back taxes, this is the place to go, because these guys, they'll help you right along, get you that financial peace of mind that you need. And also, maybe you just retired and suddenly got hit with a tax bill that you didn't expect, or Maybe you pulled money from your 401k or IRA early and now the IRS wants its share. However your tax issue started, the outcome is the same. Your balance is not going down, penalties grow, interest compounds, and many are still needing to owe some taxes, of course. So got to go to Tax Network USA to get that taken care of. The IRS is not waiting. The IRS is enforcing collections through wage garnishments, bank levies, and property seizures. They could even file for you without your consent. And this is really where Tax Network USA comes in. With more than 15 years in business, there hasn't been a tax case they haven't seen and resolved. They specialize in tax controversies and help taxpayers nationwide get back on track by resolving back taxes and unfiled returns once and for all. And whether you owe $10,000 or $10 million, their team has resolved over $1 billion in tax debt. They can do the same for you. But here's the thing, you have to call now because they're offering a free investigation call with the IRS. After that investigation, they put a clear case plan in place to resolve your tax problem and get you back on track. It's really about using your legal rights to take control before the government sets the terms for you. So don't wait for another IRS letter or a frozen bank account. Call 877-479-6503, tnusa.com/RSBN. All right, let me double check here on a couple stories that are happening out there, just making sure there's no massive major breaking news story as we are live, because sometimes that happens. I'm seeing some reports here from the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, the U.S. Ambassador to NATO. Let's see, a number of stories here. The White House right here saying America is back, so back, showing a number of either Air Force or Navy jets right there. So just doing basically what you guys do, you know what I mean? We sometimes check out X or True Social. Obviously, we have our sources. We interview a number of people here on the network, and we bring you all this live coverage. So thanks again for live streaming in. All right, so I'm trying not to replay too much material anymore here on the network. I'd like to have as much fresh stuff as possible, which makes sense. This one, though, is going to be hard not to. Let's go to the national anthem once again. This is Mackenzie Fipps, and then we're going to kind of reset as we get ready for that 3 o'clock hour. Mackenzie Fipps, a country artist. She performs the Star Spangled Banner a lot out there. Here's a video, some of the videos that I put together when it comes to various pictures of flags and that kind of thing. Take a look.
Oh, say, can you sing by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. Hey, the rockets rang out, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Good stuff. As we were looking live there in Washington, D.C., a little bit either foggy, cloudy, humid, or maybe the camera has some condensation on the lens. One of the other is happening there in Washington. But anyway, we'll be ideally going to the White House maybe in the next 20, 30 minutes. I can't promise it. but we'll see what happens. It is a closed press event right now. So specifically, the president participates in a swearing-in ceremony for the special envoy for American landowners. Now, the High Plains Journal is reporting country music singer and businessman John Rich has been named special envoy for American landowners at the U.S. Department of Agriculture, where he will advocate for farmers, ranchers, and private landowners on issues involving private property rights and rural communities. He will be at that event there at the White House today at 3 o'clock. So it's obviously a few minutes out from 3. And we all kind of have learned over the years that even if an event says 3 o'clock or we see that President Trump's going to speak at 7, most of the time that doesn't happen right on the nose. So we'll be standing by for that. Hopefully you guys have a nice weekend in store, as you get ready for the weekend on this Friday. Let's go to a couple of our sponsors in the meantime. All Family Pharmacy is one of them. More Americans are looking for healthcare that's simple, convenient, and puts patients first. And that's really one reason we're proud to partner with All Family Pharmacy, because most pharmacies out there, they fill prescriptions. Well, All Family Pharmacy does that plus. They're focused on making the entire experience easier. Instead of long waits, endless phone calls, and crowded waiting rooms, you can complete a secure online medical questionnaire, have a licensed physician review your information, and if appropriate, provide a prescription. Then your medication is shipped directly to your door, and they offer more than 400 medications, from everyday prescriptions, and then on top of that, ivermectin, antibiotics, wellness therapies like N80+, Simorlin, and methylene blue. And when you have questions, you can talk to a real member of their team, including a licensed pharmacist. And we all appreciate, of course, services that respect our time, give us more choices, and make life a little easier. It's exactly what All Family Pharmacy is doing for us out there. So allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. You see the QR code, you see the number. So there's 3 ways to get now to All Family Pharmacy. Usually I say there's 3 ways to get to Kalshi. There's 3 ways to get to All Family. All right, let's go to Birch Gold Group as well. As you see there, this is the last day for this July 4th special. You can buy some gold and put some silver in your pocket, but a lot of things are expensive right now. So the question is, how are you to buy some gold? Well, one thing you can control right now that doesn't cost you anything out of pocket is diversifying your retirement savings. Birch Gold Group will help you convert an old 401k from a previous employer or an IRA into a physical IRA in gold, something that's really a hedge against inflation. And check this out, right now Birch Gold is going to give you a special America 250 1-ounce silver round for every $10,000 you purchase by today, July 10th. So think about this. 10 years ago, an ounce of gold was about $1,200. Today, it's around $4,500. Where will it be 10 years from now? Text Trump to 989898 to take advantage of free America 250 silver with qualifying purchase before today, or today is the deadline. Again, text Trump to the number 989898. All right, so we have a couple great sponsors there. We'll get back to some of that in just a little bit. Why don't we go to, I believe, Virginia right now. Let's go to the Newsbusters. Nick Fondacaro joining us right now, Associate Editor for Newsbusters. Thanks so much for joining us, Nick.
Thanks for having me on, Matt.
I'm glad you're here with us. I understand that you recently wrote, first of all, that's an awesome background, man.
Oh, thank you.
You don't like Star Wars, do you?
I kind of do, a little bit.
We're going to talk about that in a second. I definitely want to talk about that. I can't wait to talk about it. Anyway, so let's do this. I know that you wrote an op-ed, I believe it's in the Daily Wire, talking about the view. So can you share with us your view?
Yeah, so basically what we have going on here is a little bit after the 4th of July, you got Sunny Hostin once again shouting her anti-Americanism from the rooftops, where she basically says, like, hey, if I go into a neighborhood and I see a bunch of American flags all over the place, I automatically assume that this neighborhood is racist. They don't want me here.
Wow.
Exactly. And she says, like, hey, like, a lot of people put racism as like a part of this flag. And if they put it out to say that they're racist and they're putting this sort of racism notion to the flag by putting it out, it's like, no, Sonny, you're the one doing that. You're the one putting the racism sort of moniker to it.
It just seems like it's a reverse racism thing. I wish people would just realize that we're not living in those days anymore. You know what I mean? Like, those were terrible days that happened in the history of our country. But that's not what you and I and most people are not out there just actively being racist. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And what she was saying on The View today, too, is basically saying like they turned the show into sort of like a 2028 struggle session about who they as an organization at The View should support and which candidates have the chops to make it through the Democratic primary, which honestly, that's electioneering, which is against ABC's license. And that's one of the reasons why us at the Media Research Center and Newsbusters are trying to get their license sort of dinged and the show lose their bona fide news program status. But anyway, so basically they turn it into a struggle session. And she says, like Sonny is just like, hey, in 250 years, America has not gotten better. Like we still have this identity politics. Meanwhile, she's the one that's constantly bringing up identity politics and looks at everything about the country through this warped prism of racism.
Yeah, exactly. It's just one of the tactics of leftists to try and separate, divide, destroy all the stupid stuff that they try and do out there. Speaking of The View, and you were saying that one thing I did not know. I know that ABC, NBC, CBS, these networks are licensed under the federal government, the Federal Communications Commission. And I didn't know that The View is licensed as a news program.
Yeah, so back in 2014, ABC sort of took them from being under their entertainment wing and brought them in underneath their media wing.
Of course they did.
Yep.
Yeah.
And basically, okay.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah. So basically what that gets them is that they don't need to follow certain rules that the entertainment shows have to in terms of giving equal time and stuff like that. And what we've seen and what we've documented here at Newsbusters is basically, hey, here's them. Like last year alone, they only had 2 conservatives to 128 guests that they had come on and speak their politics. Right. And this year so far, we've only seen 3 conservatives, the last one being Vice President J.D. Vance. And like a lot of this now, we're almost halfway through the year now, and this is what we're seeing. They don't want to bring in equal time, especially for election stuff. And when they talk about Republicans, they don't want to bring them on to have discussions about policy or anything like that. Even the ones that they claim that they want to talk to, they say, hey, we want to talk to the people that we talk about on the show. But at the Daily Wire, they attacked Isabel Brown earlier this year. And then when she asked to come on and be like, hey, let's have this conversation, because you guys they had an issue with her saying that women should want to get married and have kids. And she's like, hey, I'm willing to come on and have a conversation. They're like, nah, our schedule's full. Meanwhile, they had open days. It just straight up lied to her face.
It's
so yeah,
unbelievable.
like, this is what they have.
I'm gonna put a request in, and we'll see if it works, to interview the FCC chair, Brendan Carr, because he knows the specific law with the FCC. But let's try and go there, even though we're not legal experts. So RSBN, right, or CNN, or Fox News, or name a news outlet that's cable or live streaming. The FCC license does not apply to that, correct? Isn't it just the government-funded airwaves, ABC, NBC, CBS, right?
Exactly. So basically, it only affects anything that's like terrestrial radio and the broadcasters, terrestrial TV, where it's anything where it's the signals sort of being bounced off. And if TVs that still had rabbit ears back in the day, basically anything that could pick up those wavelengths, because there's only a set number of wavelengths in the spectrum, and the federal government dictates who can be on these wavelengths, and they issue licenses to the different bands along those airways, which is why pirated TV and pirate radio stations were a thing way back in the day, especially fighting communism and all that. But basically, to get these licenses, you need to make certain promises that you're going to act a certain way. You're going to carry on your programming in a certain way. And especially for a news outlet, you're supposed to be acting in the public interest. And one of the things we've submitted to the FCC is basically, hey, here is evidence of ABC not acting in the public interest. Here are major stories that they are omitting that could that the electorate should know, or just the general public should know, especially when it comes to politics and what the lay of the land is. And certain facts, like when they claimed that they had video footage of the Turks invading Syria and massacring the Kurds. Meanwhile, it was video of a gun range in Kentucky, and they never issued a correction on air, just like a tweet. and then basically The View doing their electioneering and trying to manipulate the public. So this is the evidence that we've put forward to the FCC in formal writings, in petitions, and public comments to be like, hey, this is what you guys should be examining, and here's the evidence that maybe The View and the ABC should get re-examined and have some consequences for what they're doing to the American people.
This sounds like an information war, if you ask me. Now, if we look at some of the local TV stations, like I've worked in local news back in the day and all that, and I understood one part of it. It's called a public service, right? If there is a tornado watch or tornado warning, or if there's a power outage that happens in one part of the viewing area, or if there's a blizzard on the way, or if there's a gunman on the loose, you have a public service. That's really what the news was supposed to just stick to. And then, report this is what's going on too. But the influx of politics and the influx of, let's talk about Jimmy Kimmel with ABC. Obviously he's with ABC, but isn't he under the entertainment factor? Doesn't he have freedom of speech to say what he wants? But then outside of that, it's still on federal government airwaves, and he's saying a bunch of false junk all the time. So how do you see that?
So basically what we were seeing with the Jimmy Kimmel stuff is, yes, he is under the entertainment branch, so he has a little bit more freedom with the stuff that he can say and what he can do. What we saw with him getting taken down wasn't the federal government stepping in as much as a lot of people like CNN and the other parts of the liberal media were saying, hey, that was the federal government trying to censor him. What we saw with that was local affiliates who use not the ones that necessarily own the ABC News, that ABC directly licenses. There's only 8 of those. But a lot of the local affiliates will borrow and sort of use ABC as their general national coverage, and will get their general national programming from ABC. And that it was what we were seeing with a lot of the local stations and the local markets were being like, hey, he said something that us here at this local level don't want to see. We're going to cut back on showing his stuff for a little bit, put him on a little bit of a hiatus ourselves. And that's when ABC was seeing, oh, hey, all of these local stations and these markets were sort of dropping him. It's like, hey, we need to ourselves do some sort of punishment on this to sort of rein him in a little bit. That way we can get good faith back with our affiliates.
Wow, what a mess. What a mess, actually. Oh, yeah. Last thing I want to talk about is, we're going to talk Star Wars in a second, but before we get there, let's talk about the brainwashing aspect of things. How, you watch maybe these nightly news shows, and the people look the part, and they have all the things and the graphics and all. It's great, right? And we have some of that stuff here, but we're saying basic stuff. We're saying God, family, country. We're saying we the people. We're saying freedom, Save America Act. We're interviewing people. There's other things we do. We cover a lot of news and stuff, but isn't it interesting that they use that to make them act like they have some big authority over the people, and then they don't even tell you the truth anyway? Your thoughts about that?
Oh, absolutely. They view themselves, and I've said this for years now, they view themselves as like unelected paladins of like to save the country, where they basically appointed themselves to be the bulwark against anything that they view as anti-American, against democracy, or anything like that, even though it's only their opinion. No one has elected them to do this. They think just because, hey, I'm a big name on TV, I have my face here, people read my words, that suddenly I have the foresight to, and the just knowledge to, it honestly, what you see when you have people advocate for centralized government and stuff like that is they think that as a person that they have this overwhelming base of knowledge to dictate what other people should be listening to, that they know better than everybody else. And that's sort of why they're also, you see them sort of get sort of lean towards and are attracted to that type of worldview politically.
It's wild to see it. Any other things that you're working on there at the Media Research Center? Of course, Newsbusters, you guys crank out a lot of content. I know it's a Friday. You're probably thinking about the weekend and maybe some Star Wars stuff. But next week, though, you have anything on the docket?
Yeah, we're in the coming days, weeks, we're sitting and waiting for Zachary Young, who won his defamation case against CNN last year. He had opened a couple of other defamation suits of other networks who had said similar things about him. We're waiting to hear back. One of them lost on appeal against him and what he was trying to do with that. We're still waiting for one more against Puck News. Don't know ETA when we're supposed to hear about that, but the fact that they're still waiting might bode well for him. Additionally, I just published last night a piece about the in the CNN case, a FBI director for their public affairs, a Tammy Thorpe. Basically, she was the director of public affairs there at the CIA, and she had burned him and outed him to CNN in their defamatory reporting about him. And it turns out that through our investigation that she has actually had and was working at CNN for 3 years, about a year. And then she was working at CNN for about 3 years. And then a year later, she ended up working at the CIA and basically just outed him to to her former employer. So there's sort of like this revolving door.
So where can people read that article?
Newsbusters.org.
Okay, awesome. All right, now this is the $1 million question. Star Wars Empire Strikes Back or Return of the Jedi? Your favorite?
I'm going to say Return of the Jedi because it's bringing everything together. You have Luke redeeming his father, and it is like the bow on the first trilogy.
Awesome. And I've heard a lot of people say it's Empire Strikes Back, but I am a Return of the Jedi fan first. But then you watch Empire Strikes Back, you're like, man, that's good too. So,
oh yeah.
Anyway,
it was hard. I had to think about it.
back in the day, my dad bought me all of these, all the figures, right? And then had the C-3PO box and the Darth Vader box where you put all anyway, fun stuff, man. Good memories. Nick Fondacaro, Associate Editor with Newsbusters. Thanks again for joining us here on Right Side.
Thank you.
Definitely. Awesome. All right, so I know we have a lot of things to talk about, right? The Save America Act, possibly an open event for the White House, which would be awesome. Who doesn't want to see the president and have maybe some Q&A and maybe John Rich? I hope it works out. If it doesn't, I didn't promise it would. Before we get to some of the sponsors, I'm going to go back to the live chat. Which Star Wars is your favorite? Is it Star Wars? Is it Empire Strikes Back? Or is it Return of the Jedi? So if you want to keep typing that in as I get to you in just a second, which one is it? Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, or Return of the Jedi? Let's go to some sponsors in the meantime. Kalshi.com, I think. Yep, Kalshi.com. That should be a good question on Kalshi too. Which one does everybody like the most? I don't know. Anyway, Kalshi.com/RSBN. 3 ways to get there: the QR code, the website, the app. Great sponsor here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. And there's a lot of content there with politics and elections. And if you want a little break from politics and elections, there's still other topics there to check out. So Kalshi.com/RSBN. Let's go to our next sponsor here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Cove Pure is one of them. And again, for those of you typing in Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi, we'll get to you in a second. All right, so we know that we just celebrated America 250, Freedom 250. But the crazy part is 250 years later, we're still here drinking whatever the government decided to put in our water. The fluoride for your teeth, chlorine to keep things clean. Well, it's not a decision someone else should be making for your family, which is why you should be using Cove Pure. More than 209 million Americans are on fluoridated water right now. And here's what the science actually shows. A recent study confirmed that fluoride exposure is linked to lower IQ scores in children. And that's not just a fringe study. It's from JAMA Pediatrics, one of the most respected medical journals in the world. And chlorine, that's, isn't even the worst part. It's what happens when it reacts with natural particles in the water from plants and soil. It creates chemical byproducts called THMs, which the government itself calls probable human carcinogens, linked to things like disruption of your gut, and it could be cancer causing as well. Now, there are a couple states out there moving on this. Utah and Florida ban fluoride, but that process takes a while, and your kids, your family, they're drinking this water today. So you really need something that works now. That's exactly what Cove Pure is. They're certified to remove up to 99.9% of contaminants. Fluoride, THMs, pharmaceuticals, PFAs, anything that isn't water gets filtered out. And of course, it looks great on the counter. You don't have to have this broad installation of all this stuff. It just plugs right in. And then the best part, with the tap of the button, hot, cold, or warm, the temperature of that purified water. So don't wait for the government to catch up. Take back control of your water. And in honor of America's 250th, Cove Pure is giving you guys $250 off. CovePure.com/RSBN. Worth the price, worth the investment. Check out the price. CovePure.com/RSBN. Great product. Drink pure, live pure, Cove Pure. And what do you guys think? Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, or Return of the Jedi? Director, could you share with me any things that you saw there while I was reading the ad read as well? Did you see a lot of, we have one Return of the Jedi. Oh, wow, okay. I'm hearing a lot of Star Trek people. Okay, you like Star Trek more than Star Wars. Okay, well, let's have fun with that quickly. Star Wars or Star Trek? Star Wars or Star Trek? What's your favorite? We'll read a few of them here. This as we stand by for a possibility of an open press event there at the White House. Again, this is all about American landowners. We know that country artist John Rich on the way to the White House, if not already there. And then we'll be maybe seeing him as well. If we don't for some reason, then no network has it live, right? Like it's something that, you know, usually that's something that the White House will put out there live. If there's a couple recorded clips that air later, or maybe the White House will post it as well, we post those clips as well. So you can count on us, whether it's live or recorded. We do our best to get everything out there, the content that you'd like to see here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. Of course, President Trump's speeches, his events, when he's traveling overseas like he did to Turkey just the other day with the NATO summit. Let's see what else we have here on the side of the screen. We see Star Wars, Star Trek. There's two, one for each other. Let's go with the tiebreaker. Whatever I see next wins. Star Wars, easy, that person says. And I agree. Star Wars is great. Anyway, all right. Let's take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back here on Right Side.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Welcome back to Right Side Broadcasting Network. Thanks so much for sticking with us as we are here on this Friday, July 10th right now. Of course, we are live. We are live Monday through Friday, of course, as you guys know, whenever there are various events at the White House. And when there are days that are not open press, of course, we bring on a number of guests, and we'll be checking out some more of the international news, national news, local news, anything that's breaking, of course, when it comes to news stories. We'll be covering those. Also, speaking of that, if you're just joining us now, coming up, of course, in a couple months now, September 9th will be the start of the RNC Midterm National Convention in Dallas, Texas. So a lot happening on that front as we get ready for the midterm election coming up in November. Looking at the Treasury Department here, a post talking about 33 minutes ago, talking about Iran. The Treasury Department saying today, following Iran's resumption of attacks on international shipping in the Strait of Hormuz, Treasury's Office of Foreign Assets Control sanctioned an Iranian financial facilitator who has effectively institutionalized large-scale embezzlement within the Iranian regime, diverting publicly funded wealth offshore. We're hearing this from the Treasury Department. OFAC today also targeted key Iranian exchange houses that move billions of dollars annually on behalf of sanctioned Iranian banks. That was a post about 33 minutes ago on X right now. Let me just double check True Social, see if the president has posted anything, and he has. All right, so let's see here. We have a couple posts from the president here talking about endorsing America First patriot Zach Lawn, a tremendous candidate running to be the governor of Iowa. And then he also talked about and endorsed highly respected America First Congressman Andy Biggs, who is running to be governor in Arizona. And then, of course, the last post so far, Congressman Paul Gosar is an America First patriot, is doing a fantastic job representing Arizona's 9th congressional district. So the president talking about Iowa and Arizona there. As we're looking at the New York Harbor, New York, there's the Statue of Liberty. Wow, it's been a while since I've seen that. And do you know, you might have known, if you've watched the network for at least the past couple of years, my mom was born in Brooklyn. My dad was born in Manhattan. I used to live in New York, but only for a few years. I was born in Pennsylvania. The point of all that is I never have gotten to climb the Statue of Liberty or actually get there to Ellis Island. I would love to do that. And you don't have to go to New York City to do that, by the way. You can take one of those ferries from Jersey City or Hoboken. I think it's just Jersey City. And you can just ride over to it and check it out. So it'd be pretty cool to see that. Anyway, let's go to a few sponsors in the meantime as we're awaiting any live feed from the White House, if that's happening, and some more live interviews here on Right Side. All Family Pharmacy, as you guys know, a great sponsor here on Right Side. More Americans are looking for health care that's simple, convenient, and puts patients first. And that's one of the major reasons why we're proud to partner with All Family Pharmacy, because most pharmacies, they just fill prescriptions. But All Family Pharmacy does that, plus they are focused on making the entire experience easier. Instead of long waits, endless phone calls, and crowded waiting rooms, you can complete a secure online medical questionnaire, have a licensed physician review your information, and if appropriate, provide a prescription. Then your medication is shipped directly to your door, and they offer more than 400 medications, from everyday prescriptions to things like ivermectin, antibiotics, wellness therapies like NAD+, Simorelin, and methylene blue. And I'm going to stop there quickly because when you hear these different prescriptions, you might be like, what the heck is Simorelin? Or what's NAD+, or methylene blue? Or is ivermectin still something good to take? And all these questions you might have. That's the number right there to give them a call. 561-717-6794 is the number. And when you have questions, again, you can talk to a real member of their team, including a licensed pharmacist. And we all appreciate services that respect our time, give us more choices, and make life a little easier. That's exactly what All Family Pharmacy is doing. So you can visit allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN and use promo code RSBN10 to save 10% on your order. All right, let's go to one more sponsor here on Right Side, Birch Gold Group. You could buy some gold, of course, put some silver in your pocket. That'd be pretty cool to have both, right? Well, it's kind of expensive for some gold. And one thing you can control right now that doesn't cost you anything out of pocket is diversifying your retirement savings. So Birch Gold Group will help you convert an old 401k from a previous employer or an IRA into a physical IRA in gold. It's really something that's a hedge against inflation. And check this out, right now Birch Gold is going to give you that special America 250 1-ounce silver round for every $10,000 you purchase by today. So today's the last day for this offer. And check this out, 10 years ago, an ounce of gold was about $1,200. Today, it's around $4,500. Where will it be 10 years from now? Text Trump to 989898 to take advantage of free America 250 silver with qualifying purchase before July 10th. Again, text Trump to that number, 989898 today. 6 minutes from the bottom of the hour, covering the latest news from the White House, as you guys see there. And some of the latest news that we're hearing is directly from President Trump on Truth Social. And also, we know that the 3 o'clock event, obviously it's 24 minutes after that event was to start, is all about American landowners. I don't believe the event has started, even if it's closed press, meaning it won't be on any network. But if it does open, we'll be here for it. We do have a few more live interviews to get to here on Right Side on this Friday. So again, thanks for hanging with us. And those of you that watch us on X or Rumble, of course, great to be at home with Rumble. And then YouTube and other places, the app. There's a lot of places to watch Right Side. Thanks for doing so. And it's great to see people watch some of the replays of the various interviews or the various clips that we post out there with President Trump. You know, our team here at Right Side Broadcasting Network is always cranking out content. And that's the name of the game, right? To see what's happening in Washington, D.C. and also, you know, to hopefully connect with myself or connect with who you see on camera, like Megan Kohler the other day in in South Dakota, who you're going to see any second from now, actually. Speaking of Megan Kohler, we're going to have her join us here any second from now to give us a little bit of just what it was like to be out there for the Mount Rushmore coverage on July 3rd. And then back on June 24th, she was with Matt Cain out there in D.C. for that Great American State Fair, which actually wraps up today. Today's the last day for that. Looking at Lady Liberty, though, in the meantime, as we are looking at the New York Harbor in New York City. I was thinking the other day about the various contacts we have and various people we interview from coast to coast, from New York to California to Arizona to Iowa to Florida, Pennsylvania, and the list goes on. And it's we don't take it lightly. We don't take this lightly. We're grateful to be able to be here with you guys. And even, again, whether it's 2 million plus people that are watching a July 4th broadcast, whether it's much less than that watching a weekly broadcast, you know, it's just something that you just keep on keeping on. You keep going. And we know that Romans 8:28 is true. All things work together for the good to those that love God and are called according to his purpose. So anyway, let's do this. Let's take a quick commercial break because I think Megan Kohler is going to join us here live any second from now. So we'll be right back.
It's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First news. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Welcome back to Right Side Broadcasting Network. Very interesting. You know, we usually see Washington, D.C., the Capitol building, the White House, the National Mall. Interesting to have that picture today, you know, just a little something different, but also you think about, again, coming up in September, the September 11th, 25th anniversary of 9/11. Do you remember where you were that day? I do, and I was in college. I was sleeping at 8 in the morning, wasn't up yet, but I remember my mom calling on a landline then in 2001. Of course, the iPhone wasn't out until 2007. So anyway, a landline in the dorm there. So I pick up the phone. She says, "Turn on the TV. The twin towers have been attacked." I'm like, "Wait, what?" And I turned on the TV and I watched Fox News Channel at that time in 2001. And I was glued to the television set for 8 to 9 hours. And then I remember being with, you know, just other friends or other college buddies and just everybody. We were outside. We all like circled around in the cafeteria, and it wasn't like a Christian school or anything. And I remember just praying. We were all praying that day. You remember that day, September 11th, 2001. Quite the day, as we will be remembering that coming up in September. All right, let's go to RSBN host Megan Kohler joining us live right now. Megan, thanks so much for joining us here on Right Side.
Thanks, Matthew.
All right, let's talk about Mount Rushmore. How awesome was that to be out there? I mean, I was out there once, it was at night, but you got to see a lot. And then on top of that, the president and the fireworks. So tell us what it was like out there.
What a bucket list moment for me. I mean, going out there for a special event was just spectacular. I loved that I got to walk around the entire venue and really explore everything. I had a blast giving a tour of the empty venue to everybody. That was an exclusive thing, by the way. No one else did that. No other networks got to walk around and cover everything. I mean, maybe they could have, but they didn't want to. But that's what makes right side broadcasting different. Is we roll the cameras and we set the scene and we show everybody what's actually happening. So I had a blast with it.
That's the inside baseball. It's the more transparency and kind of like, hey, we're with the people. We're not out here acting like you can't talk to us and we're different than you. No, we're with you guys, and that's what's awesome about Right Side. Also, then talking about, you said you were touring around Mount Rushmore, and then if you go a few weeks back to June 24th for the Great American State Fair. That was some pretty cool coverage. You were going from state to state. Do you know how many states you actually covered there?
We tried to make it to all of them, but there was 56 states and territories represented at the state fair. So we couldn't exactly get to everything, but I think we got to about half of the states and territories and other exhibits to see. So it was awesome. Had a blast with that one too.
Yeah, no, that was fun. It was good TV. The people like to see. I mean, if you're not in DC, you're not at the state fair. That's what is great about the medium of television, that we can show you exactly live. So it's pretty cool to see that. And then on top of that, at the end, something that I texted you and I go, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't have done that, which was the Ferris wheel. I'm not into heights. You're just like, you and the photographer are like, oh, whatever. We're just going to go up there.
I'm an explorer. I like to see everything and experience it all. So I had to get up there and check it out for myself. And what a great view it was to see the whole National Mall all the way down, all the different monuments in DC. You could see everything from the top of the Ferris wheel. So if you could get over your fear of heights, I would highly recommend it.
All right, I'll try. So on July 4th, so you were at Mount Rushmore for the 3rd. The 4th, I assume we were traveling back to your home state. So what was it like? I mean, you're still kind of celebrating our 4th of July, So what was it like for you? Were you traveling, or did you get a chance to do that when you got home, or what was it like on the 4th?
Traveling back from South Dakota took a while because I had to have a layover. I stopped in Colorado, and then I came back to the great state of Ohio. But the patriotism is absolutely through the roof this year. 4th of July is my second favorite holiday. First is Christmas. So I go crazy for 4th of July every year, but I feel like everyone across the country just felt this extra sense of patriotism, this specific America 250. So it was awesome to celebrate with my friends. I went to a pool party and we all had a blast and watched the fireworks too.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's perfect. Now, back to the Great American State Fair. There are a few states that I guess the governors, they were like, we're not going to take part in this. How ridiculous was that, Megan?
It was a blast walking through and seeing each state's different culture, even when they're right next to each other. The Midwest versus the Western states versus the Southern states versus the Northeastern states. There's so many different cool cultures through the United States, differing from state to state. But then when I walked into Oregon and Washington, there was nothing there. It was just the Great American State Fair signs that they had printed out just to be basically a placeholder to show which states go where. And I walked in and there was nothing. They didn't even have a flyer. They didn't have one representative sitting there talking about their state. I mean, not every American gets to travel around the entire country. So this was an opportunity for someone to come to Washington, D.C. to experience so many different pieces of our culture and history of the United States, and then walk around from state to state in the American State Fair. And when it got to, I believe it was almost 10, it was 8 to 10 or so states that weren't represented because their blue state governors didn't want to participate. It was just really disappointing, and they're missing out because we have a patriotism uniting us in this country, and they're basically just opting out of it and saying we don't want to participate.
And the thing that's tough, Megan, is, we interview people like A.F. Branco, the conservative cartoonist. He's based in Washington State. You see people in Eastern Oregon are saying, hey, I want to be part of Idaho. There's a movement to break away from Oregon. So there's some great patriots in those two states. And then I think it was Massachusetts. Was it North Carolina too? They didn't have a booth there?
North Carolina.
Yeah, that's rough.
I believe they were on the list too. Yep.
Yeah. So that wasn't cool. But what was cool was to see all of the coverage here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. I mean, did you get a chance to see some of the fireworks? The display was awesome.
The 4th of July fireworks in Washington, D.C., I saw plenty of videos of it, and I had major FOMO. So it basically, the whole entire sky was lit up. All around you, you look around, everywhere there's fireworks blasting off, and we set a world record for the greatest fireworks show in history. So I'm proud to have been an American during that. And of course, President Trump likes to go big or go home. And it just felt so good to be an American during this moment in time, although I wish I could have gone.
Yes.
So anyone who got to go, lucky you.
Yeah. So also, actually, I didn't get to go, but it was still pretty cool to watch from afar. But here's the thing. So couple more things. I know we're talking a lot about 250 and a lot of the coverage, but what would be, how do we have another 250 years of freedom? I mean, is it things like the Save America Act, passing that? That's a good way to start it, right?
Absolutely. We have to have closed borders. We have to deport all illegal immigrants. We can't be the world's soup kitchen because we simply don't have enough resources to cover 8 billion people. Random people can't come in our country and bring their traditions and values from other countries and cultures and bring them here without assimilating to our culture, because multiculturalism is cool to an extent, to have different ideas, opinions, the way you dress, etc. But if people around the world come together without having the same level of respect for each other and come together as Americans, speaking English, going along with our judicial system, the way we live our life, the reason they came to America is because we have a great country and we have a great standard of living.
That's a good
point. So don't come to our country, right? You can't come to our country and then basically try to ruin it and try to tell us we're the evil ones. You're the one coming to our country.
Yes. Can I just tell it like it is? Don't F it up, basically.
Exactly.
Don't come here and F up our country. Our country is a free nation. We want it to continue that way. We want the Save America Act to be passed and on. So what's up with you for the next, I don't know, few weeks here? I mean, we're getting ready for that midterm national convention. The RNC midterm national convention. It's in Dallas, Texas. Who knows? You might even be on that. I'm not sure. I didn't hear anything. But the point is, the fact that there's a midterm national convention, as you know, the presidential years usually have that over the summer. But this time it's for the midterms. Your thoughts?
I think this is an opportunity for anybody who's new to politics during the Trump era to pay attention that it's not just about the presidential election. Yes, President Trump's in office, but we need to make sure that on every different level, we have people who are America first, that pay attention to what we care about and their platform matches what we believe in. So it's important to stay registered to vote in your area and make sure you're voting in each and every election, no matter how local this might be. And of course, the midterms are going to be really important too. Exactly. And you made a great point earlier about the Great American State Fair, blue states opting out of participating in the fair. I believe in a subsidiarity to the point where it's nice that we have a differentiation between the states, because people don't like the way the blue states are running, so they're going to Idaho. But if we didn't have different options, the whole land would be operating under the same blue state laws. So I'm thankful that we have subsidiarity in the United States and different states operate in different ways. And I think this is kind of an example of free market capitalism too, because people are leaving the blue states in droves because they hate how the standard of living has become under the Democrat laws. So they're fleeing to red states. And it just goes to show that what we believe in physically works when you see the results.
That's exactly right. And when you say physically, if you look at the Palisades fire in Los Angeles and what they had to go through there with Mayor Bass and Gavin Newsom, and they act like, you know, it was out of their hands. They don't know what happened in the water, this and that. And then President Trump flies into LA and takes care of business to get the water flowing there for Los Angeles. It's things like that, that even if you're a so-called Democrat, maybe even brainwashed leftist, you're kind of like, I got some detox there. It's called truth, and I'd rather stay alive, so I'm going to go to Texas or Florida or whatever state that is not LA in that area. But hopefully that turns around with a new governor there in California. Last thing, wokeism, education system. We have a couple guests coming up as we await, if possible, this White House event, if it opens up. We also have an interview a bit later at 4:45, but we'll see if we're still in the air at that time. Anyway, the point is, wokeism in the education system has touched home for me, because I was reading my daughter. She's almost 2 years old, I'm reading a book yesterday, and at the end of the book about colors, blue, red, this and that, it talked about rainbows, fine rainbows, and then it showed a rainbow flag to kind of show rainbow. And I'm like, no, not on my watch. You see what I'm saying? Like, they just try all the time to get to the kids. So your thoughts about how we can turn this ship around? I mean, what do we just do, homeschooling and go to religious schools? Like, we need to have school choice, don't we?
School choice is extremely important, especially for people who live in public school zip codes that aren't very good school systems, and they're indoctrinating the kids, like you said. And some parents may not have enough resources to send their kid to private schools, for example. So if you have school choice and this school in this area is indoctrinating the children, if you have school choice vouchers to go to a different school, that's another example of free market, that you can go over to the better schools for better education and steering your children in the right direction. And my pastor always talks about how you need to teach your kids the foundation of Christ and growing up in the church. And they may stray away at some point, but they'll always remember in the back of their mind the foundation of growing up in the church. And they can always read the Bible, they could always pray and talk to God about it. So with all those things together, I think that's how we help combat the indoctrination of children.
That's perfect. I love the answer, because I was just thinking, like, well, what about other countries that don't even like the Bible, like China, or you can't have a church there. You have to have an underground church. Isn't it interesting, Megan? And I'll leave with this point, but I wanted to hear your reaction to it, that they try and cut down the truth, but the truth wins and will prevail, and it's great to be on the side of truth, isn't it, Megan Kohler?
It absolutely is, and you can tell where the truth is being told because that's what's attacked. So if anyone is skeptical of the Bible or skeptical of Jesus, the Christians are under attack all the time. So obviously it's the truth.
Yeah, and there's a number of other ways that we see that happening as well when it comes to just the Judeo-Christian principles that this country was founded on. It's the Bible, it's the Constitution, it's our founding fathers, it's all the good things. Why is our country so great? Why does our country have so much freedom? How can we do that in just 250 years? Why are we the leader of the entire world when it comes to freedom? It's because it was based on the truth of the Bible. And then what's happening now, and I keep saying I'll give you the last word, but let's keep going. Mamdani and others, and if you look at London, they like Sharia law. They would love to have that here. But guess what? We have a law. It's called the Constitution of the United States. Correct?
So well said, Matthew.
Well then, all right, we'll finish it. All right, Megan Kohler, thanks again for joining us here on Right Side. Have a great day, great weekend.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you. So, amen, right? Those that are watching right now. Again, this is what I like about, sometimes I like saying, hey, I don't have a teleprompter, which I don't right now. I have a screen behind me. I read some of the advertisements, and I like to talk about them. But I remember various campaign rallies where President Trump would go off script. He'd not used a teleprompter, and it really shows the heart of the matter. Where is that person really? What are you speaking? I might not be the most eloquent speaker on earth. I don't care. I got to get better in those ways, fine. But I put it out there because I know that I'm sinking my teeth into the truth. And I know that you guys are on the right side of history, most of you watching. Hopefully, if you're on the left side, maybe you'll come onto the right side. But you know what I mean? We're just in this together. And I love being just authentic with you guys. That's what I like to do. And that's part of me. All right, let's go to a couple sponsors here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's 344, tnusa.com/RSBN. So if you have any back taxes or any kind of situations when you need some financial peace of mind, you can get that through tnusa.com/RSBN. So have you ever filed, or have you filed and then every year but still keep owing? Or are you a business owner with messy books and a balance you can't afford? Or maybe you pulled money from your 401k or IRA early and now the IRS wants its share. However your issue started when it comes to taxes, the outcome unfortunately is the same. Your balance is not going down. Penalties are growing. Interest compounds. and you just still have those back taxes. So the IRS, they're not waiting. The IRS is enforcing collections through wage garnishments, bank levies, and property seizures. They can even file for you without your consent. And this is where Tax Network USA comes in. With more than 15 years in business, there really hasn't been a tax case they haven't seen or resolved. They specialize in tax controversies and help taxpayers nationwide get back on track by resolving back taxes and unfiled returns once and for all. So whether you owe $10,000 or $10 million, their team has resolved more than $1 billion in tax debt. They can do the same for you, but you have to call now because they're offering that free investigation call with the IRS. And after that investigation, they put a clear case plan in place to resolve your tax problem and get you back on track. So this is really about using your legal rights to take control before the government sets the terms for you. So don't wait for another IRS letter or a frozen bank account. Give them a call, 877-479-6503, or visit tnusa.com/RSBN. Let's go to that one too, freeusadoggift.com, another great sponsor here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. We want to take a minute to speak to the parents watching today. It's officially the dog days of summer. And here's a fun fact. Our founding fathers were the exact same way when it comes to they loved their animals, right? Turns out long before they were founding a nation, they were the original dog people, tails wagging in the halls of Mount Vernon and Monticello, muddy paw prints on important documents probably, or the founders, of course, loved their dogs every bit as much as we love ours today. So with America's 250th birthday, what better way to get kids excited about history than through the goofy, loyal, tail-wagging companions who were there for it all? Our friends at the Kids Guide have put together a great guide called The Kids Guide to the Founders' Furry Friends, giving kids a fun and heartwarming look at the dogs who stood and sat and probably begged for scraps beside our nation's founders. It's a perfect keepsake souvenir for kids, and they're giving it away for free at freeusadoggift.com. Plus, when you request your copy, they're also giving you a second free guide called The Kids Guide to the Founder's Message for Today, a must-read for every child. So, during these dog days of summer, head on over to freeusadoggift.com and get these free guides for your family and help celebrate America's 250th birthday the right way. We're approaching that top of the hour here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Let's go now to Gino Young. He's an author. He is also an education whistleblower. How you doing, Gino?
I'm doing very well, sir. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I remember having you on the broadcast a while ago, if my memory serves me, Illinois, Chicago?
Yes, Chicago, Illinois.
Awesome, good stuff. Great background too. I'm not going to ask you if you like Pepsi. You know what I mean? Like this is this is perfect. And I remember when you were on last time, we talked a lot about the education system, the wokeism, and all of that. And I'm not sure if you've been watching today's broadcast, and I don't always talk about personal stories, that kind of thing. But I am still floored at the fact that they had this rainbow flag trying to describe colors and all that stuff in this book that I was reading my almost 2-year-old yesterday. It just ticked me off. It got me upset. I mean, I wasn't like angry, but think about it. Like the amount of brainwashing, they just want to get even the little babies, your little kids, really does tick me off. Your thoughts about that, man?
It's absolutely disgraceful, and unfortunately, it's become par for the course for what we see in the school system today. I always tell a story about one time, and I get in this in my book, I believe. One time when I was substitute teaching at Tinley Park High School for it was a class I was teaching. It was a Spanish class, and we all know that Spanish is a gendered language, right? I remember one time I was sitting in that classroom, and the teacher wasn't there. She left no assignment, and they had all of these different LGBTQ bumper stickers all over the room. It was just like sort of graffiti all up and down the walls and everything like that. So the kids, they had no assignment, they had no work, but at the same time, they were being shown all of this LGBTQ propaganda. And it was absolutely ridiculous because, like I said, Spanish is a gendered language. So there's only male and female in Spanish, yet you had trans, you had two-spirit, you had all of these different amorphous personalities all over that room.
It's awful. And then I heard the other day, that there was a school district, I'm not going to get into all the details of it, I just will say this, that one of the teachers said to the students, you can share your pronoun as well if you'd like, and we won't tell your parents. Now that, that telephone game where you say something and it adds, and so that's a very loose description, but if it's true, come on, we know that there are activists 90% activist, 10% teacher. I wish there were more. If anybody's watching right now and you're thinking about what you want to do, maybe you're 20 years old, you just graduated, whatever. Man, I wish we can get some more teachers or student assistants, teacher assistants that are on the right side of history. We see people like yourself. We see Ashley Brassfield, who is a RSBN alum. We just interviewed her yesterday with the Daily Caller. Like, these people are on the right side of history. We need that in the teaching education industry. Gino.
Absolutely, sir. Honestly, and this is something I've never touched on before. I allude to it in my book, Sex, Drugs, and Illiteracy, The Death of Education in America. I allude to this in my book. I was one time substitute teaching at Oak Forest High School in Oak Forest, Illinois. And I remember this was around the time that the war over there in Israel had just began between Israel and Hamas. And I remember they had a seminar in the library, and this teacher came out. Now, she could barely even speak English, but she was speaking, and she had all the different Palestinian flags on. She had a shirt on that had the flag on it. She had a lanyard. She had that sort of, I think they call it a keffiyeh or whatever. It sort of looks like a tablecloth. She had that on. And she came in the teacher's lounge just screaming at everyone about the genocide. She kept saying, the genocide. And she could barely even speak, but that's all you could really understand. And she was encouraging all of us to go into the teachers, into the library, because she was having a series at Oak Forest High School with these kids, teaching them this propaganda about some non-existent genocide happening all the way across the world in Gaza. And then you have children that could barely even read and write their name in some of these schools, but yet we're talking about a genocide that has nothing to do with them. So these are the types of personalities that are taking over. And we definitely do need more people to stand up. And we need people, younger people who are going into education, who truly do understand our founding and understand what America is and what we were founded upon, and that we are a God-fearing nation. Because honestly, we're getting all types of different people from all types of cultures coming over here. They are not assimilating, and they are entering into the education system, and they are brainwashing and screwing up the next generation. And that's something I've not really talked about, but that teacher, she came in there talking about, in her words, the genocide, and was very boisterous and just sort of tried to suck all the oxygen out of the room with her just bile.
The education industry and all of these other corrupt industries that were out there, right, with the film industry or the media and all of that, you know, we see that is what we're facing in this country still to this day. Thank God we have President Trump in office and not Kamala Harris.
Amen.
And on top of that, we the people, after COVID, you're not really gonna try. After COVID, we really know what people are up to, the deep state, the globalists, and all that. We know common sense, truth. We love our freedoms. We want the Constitution as a law of the land, all those things. But outside of education, let's talk about any other industry. Isn't that the truth? That it's all part of like one system that's trying to steer, whether it's a kid that's my kid's age, a year and a half old, all the way up to 99 years old. They keep just being activists trying to go against God, family, and country, don't they?
Absolutely. And that's probably the most insidious part. When you think about it, it's not just education. It's education, it's Hollywood, it's higher education, it's sports teams now. We see what's going on in the WNBA. It's all around, it's an all-encompassing takeover of Marxism or communism. I mean, really choose your poison, whichever you want to call it. It's all under the same umbrella. So that's what we have to be very mindful of. And we have to understand that a lot of these institutions that were benign at one time, they are now malignant, and they don't mean our children nor our society any good. And I think that it's incumbent upon us as Americans, Black, white, Black, white, Hispanic, really the Americans that have been here and that have assimilated. It's incumbent upon us to stand up and to speak out and to stand against these different perverse propaganda agendas that are now taking over. And I think that that's something that's powerful and that we're starting to see the roots of, but I think that we can do a lot better with that. But yes, it is all encompassing, from academia, Hollywood, sports media, which is extremely left-leaning. And unfortunately now we're starting to see the fruits of it in our culture, and it's very disturbing.
This is why the family unit is so important. That's why we say God, family, country, right? Because if we're teaching our kids, as Megan Kohler just alluded to in the last interview, biblical principles, right? Teachings and that kind of thing. And not only just a religious aspect, but an actual connection, relationship, friendship with God himself. That's pretty awesome that we can have that here in not only America, but anywhere in the world. Gino, share your thoughts about that if you'd like, maybe about your faith, and then we'll wrap it up.
Absolutely. So I come from a very strong faith family. My great-grandmother, God rest her soul, she founded a church on the south side of Chicago, and she was the pastor there for over 20 years. So in my youth, I was able to study under her and watch her. She became the overseer of the church at that point. But that was sort of my Christian roots. And I believe that we have a very strong foundation as Christians here in America. And we have to make our voices heard. We need to speak up. You know, if all these different people can come over from God knows where talking about Islam, which isn't, I don't even consider that as a religion, it's more or less a political ideology. If they can come over here and espouse all these different propagandas and try to force them into our society, force them into our schools, like the situation I just talked about at Oak Forest, then I think that it's incumbent upon us as Christians to have that same forthright faith and stand up and say, oh, no, you don't. We were founded on Christian values. The first act of our Congress was to pray. Our founding fathers throughout our documents, they mentioned God an innumerable amount of times. So we need to stand up, we need to make our voices heard, and we need to let people know that this is our nation, this is our land, and we're not going to cede it to any ideology or to any God but Yahshua the Messiah.
Yeah, well, I mean, you look at it, being a freedom fighter, legally, lawfully, and spiritually, and understanding, again, that the foundation of our country is based on the Judeo-Christian principles, the Bible, right, and the Constitution,
yes,
and not another law which is trying to be pushed, Sharia law. Now, I did interview Senator Tommy Tuberville out of Alabama about this particular subject, and he said along the lines of, if you are a practicing Muslim who is assimilating, though, in the sense of not trying to push a Sharia law, and that's fine, he said, hey, you know, whatever. But the point is the difference is the extreme, the Sharia, which we're seeing. You know, I've been seeing some videos out there, man, and if these are not AI videos, if these are real videos of some of these people in the streets and what they're doing and how they're trying to push all this, it's just unbelievable to see it. But Gino, thanks again for joining us. Author and education whistleblower. Gino, can you share with us again the title of that book right there? It says Sex, Drugs, and Illiteracy.
And Illiteracy, The Death of Education in America. You can get it on Amazon or go to my website, www.ginoyoung.net.
Awesome. Gino, thanks for your insight. Talk to you later, man.
Thank you. God bless.
You too. And, you know, you think about, you know, all of this, right? And you say, well, wait a minute. Well, aren't you being like an activist in a way? Well, think about that. I mean, I'm someone that, just like most of you watching right now, you want freedom to prevail. So if there's any agenda, I'm out there saying it. That's what I want. I want freedom for the country. That's not a bad thing to say, right? But at least I'm saying it. At least I'm being honest about it. When you look at the mainstream media, they act like they're just reporting the news and they say all this leftist stuff. Why not at least just come out and say exactly, tell it like it is. That's all I'm trying to say. You guys that are watching, I don't care if there's 700 or 7 million or on replay or whatever right now, you want people to tell it like it is. And those of you that are watching that don't have an opportunity to have a podcast, or you're not on an RSBN, or you're not on a conservative network and that kind of thing, well, that's being the voice for the people that have no voice out there. But you do have a voice. You have your elections. You have, hopefully, the Save America Act passes. You have, I don't care, Facebook. You have X. You have Truth Social. You have these places to post and talk about things. And the thing that's really tough is that if you start posting things like, I love God and family and country, and and here's the American flag emoji, and, you know, I don't like wokeism, you know, some countries might be like, well, that's hate speech there, buddy. Well, you know what? No, it's not. It's freedom of speech. And if you don't get into any violent rhetoric, none of that stuff. I'm not talking about that. But those are the kind of things in other countries people are getting in trouble for. Talk about being a freedom fighter, legally, lawfully, and spiritually. Kalshi.com/RSBN. We have one more interview to get to. Kalshi.com/RSBN. All right, so there's a lot of political trending topics on there that you can check out if you'd like. You can go to the QR code. You can go to the app. You can go to Kalshi.com/RSBN. One of the major political trending things that was on Kalshi recently was the whole LA mayor race with Spencer Pratt and all of that. So there's other things on there as well when it comes to politics, elections, sports, science, technology, faith, weather, name it, it's there. Check it out, kalshi.com/RSBN. More than 1 million users on that site, that number growing. Awesome sponsor here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Let's go to our next one here, covepure.com/RSBN. As you guys know, we've been talking about Cove Pure for quite a bit. You can drink pure, live pure, Cove Pure. And when I go over these sponsors, I know sometimes you hear it, and if you've been watching for the past couple hours, you may have heard part of this sponsor ad break, but this is a great product here. I mean, when you have filtered water that, first of all, is healthier, it doesn't taste bad when it comes to the aftertaste. Like, I don't know who likes tap water out there, but all I can say is this is what will take care of that tap water, because as we just celebrated 250 years just on July 4th, we're still here 250 years later drinking whatever the government decided to put in our water. Fluoride for our teeth, chlorine to keep things clean. Well, it's not really a decision someone else should be making for your family, which is why you should be using Cove Pure, because more than 209 million Americans are drinking this fluoridated water right now. There's 347 million people, give or take a few, in this country. 347 million people in the United States of America. Anyway, here's what the science is actually showing. A recent study confirmed that fluoride exposure is linked to lower IQ scores in children, and that's not a fringe study. It's from JAMA Pediatrics, one of the most respected medical journals in the world. What about the chlorine? I mean, that isn't even the worst part. It's what happens when it reacts with natural particles in the water from plants and soil. It creates chemical byproducts called THMs, which the government itself calls probable human carcinogens. It's really linked to disruption of your gut and could cause cancer. There are some states out there moving on this. Utah and Florida ban fluoride, but that process takes years. Your kids, your family, they're drinking this water today. So you need something that works and works now. And that's exactly what Cove Pure is. They're certified to remove up to 99.9% of contaminants. Fluoride, THMs, pharmaceuticals, PFAs, anything that isn't water gets filtered out. And it looks great right there on the counter. You don't need this whole entire complex home installation system. It's simply you plug it in, and then also you can get hot, cold, or warm water with the tap of a button. So don't wait for the government to catch up. Take back control of your water. And in honor of America's 250th, Cove Pure is giving you guys $250 off if you use that link there, covepure.com/RSBN. Great stuff there, as it's 4:02 Eastern Time. The director is not going to like what I'm about to do. Before we go to our next interview, let's take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back here on Right Side.
It's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interviewed the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Welcome back to Right Side Broadcasting Network. Let's go to Alvin Louie, the founder of Courage is a Habit. Alvin, thanks for standing by with us. How's your day going, man?
My day's going great. It's always a pleasure to see you. This will be the best meeting I have today.
Oh, thanks, man. That's awesome. So I'm sure you might have heard some of the previous interviews. We're really talking education today in the back half of this broadcast. What's going on with Courage is a Habit right now with what you guys are doing to combat the crazy?
Well, we're always hitting pretty hard, and more importantly, we want parents to stay on that offensive mindset instead of a defensive mindset, because the schools are really, really good at emotional blackmail. They're really good at couching things like it's just about kindness, and it's just about diversity, and it's just about inclusion, and all those things is what brings in these horrible things for children. Because as we've said so many times, on your wonderful show as well. Good parenting, it's about embracing exclusion. It's not about inclusion. And that's one of the biggest Trojan horse that education's done for parents. Your previous guest, I thought he was fantastic. You don't really hear educators talk like this at all. And so the Gino was incredibly courageous to really tell it like it is. And he's absolutely correct that they're bringing all these things into children when they're at the most impressionable. And it's not that it's even everything as in this balance, like you get one side and the other. It's 100% anti-white, hate America, America's oppressive, and then you need to do something about it, which is break the system, which is why we're seeing these angry, hopeless young people marching and screaming on the streets, protecting illegal aliens, all kinds of just horrible things that obviously has no good ending for their life.
Yeah, I mean, you get brainwashed and then you get paid while that you make about the emotional blackmail thing, because as I've shared a couple of times, but I want to share and I want to hear your reaction too, but that's exactly the kind of book that I just didn't know at the end of this book. I looked through it for my child, she's almost 2, and we're looking through the colors, blue, red, orange, yellow, and at the end it was, oh, hey, rainbow colors, cool. And it was showing like different images for each of the things. And it said rainbow flag and how to flag a rainbow flag. And I'm like, really? You bring us all in this nice book and then you got to show us the rainbow flag just to get used to it, Alvin. It's okay. It was really not cool to see that.
They always pick on the shows and the books that have some traction and have a big audience. The transgender cult wouldn't touch anything that wasn't popular because they want the biggest large amount of audience. And I want to remind everybody that the transgender cult and the members can never procreate, so they have to recruit. That's the reason why they have to go after your children. Same thing with the drag queen, story hours, and all those things. Those are all entry points to the transgender cult. Because what it's doing is that it is rewriting or writing, it's not even rewriting, it's writing values in your children's mind because they don't have any yet. The values come from their parents and from their families and their extended family, cousins and uncles and so forth. But what the K through 12 is doing through mental health, that is the biggest Trojan horse that people still miss, is through mental health, through inclusion, through diversity, through empathy, through be kind. All those things now is attached. All the transgender ideology, all the open borders, the Muslims take over. All those things, when a child gets older, will only look like they're just being kind. They're just being inclusive. They won't see the danger in it simply because you introduce it so early. So like that book for your daughter, they want to introduce that so that when she sees it, it's just normal. I read it with my dad. And so obviously you're going to go, no, this is wrong. And here's why, honey, right? At that, whatever age is appropriate, you have that conversation, but you still are going to overwrite that. But a lot of parents don't. Or a lot of parents don't even know because they take it in schools, and in schools, it comes in as culturally responsive teaching. And so every parent, if you go to your state Department of Education, type in culturally responsive teaching, what that means is that method of teaching means that they can take any subject and turn it into a social justice lesson. So when parents go, my school's okay. My schools don't do it because we have curriculum transparency. Curriculum transparency means absolutely nothing. Because when you're looking at it in a cold, hard syllabus, it doesn't mean anything. It just says, oh, they're teaching English. Oh, they're teaching biology. But when you're in that biology class is this transgender person, this gay person did this. They don't get enough credit. And then why? Because America's oppressive. So culturally responsive teaching means that they can take any subject, no matter how benign, any syllabus, no matter how benign, and turn it into a storytelling lesson that will rewrite your child's values.
It's so wild to see it. It's so wild to hear about it. When we look at the book that you're referring to, That part of that book is now in the trash can, and it will stay there. And I'll be better as a parent to look through the entire. You'd think you're getting a book about color: blue, red, orange, yellow. Ooh, that there's going to be something like that in there. Now, I want to talk to you about something, Alvin. I want to hear your point on this because you're a Christian, yes?
Yes.
Okay, as am I, and as are a number of people that are watching. And if you're not a Christian watching, thanks so much for watching here. Yes. So, Jesus in the Bible would pray, or he would eat and hang out with sinners, right? And so we all have fallen short of the glory of God because all have sinned and fallen short. So we get that. So when we're doing these interviews, I kind of want to bring some context to it because we've been harping on it for a minute now. But outside of getting detoxed through mental health for people that are mentally ill and pushing transgenderism on our kids or doing drag show story hours and the teachers that might not be transgender but are supporting it because they're also brainwashed, all the things. My point is, let's get detoxed for them, hopefully, and pray for them, and hopefully there is a conversion out of that junk. So I don't want this to be a message of just vinegar, constant vinegar to everybody that's on this left side of history or left side of the aisle. Well, we got some honey for you too. Just come on over to get detoxed. What do you think, Alvin?
Well, I think no matter where you grow up, whether you're in America or anywhere else, there's one human trait that we all share, and that is that we want our children to do better than us, to do greater things than us. And when you're talking about that left ideology, there's no happy ending for you, and there's certainly no happy ending for your children, because it's all about grievance. It's all about vinegar. And it's all about tearing something down. And so when you're talking about converting, whether you're accepting Jesus Christ as your Savior or whether you're coming over to understanding that we are given a gift, and whether you believe in that God gave us the gift or that we were just given the gift by our the founding fathers, America is a gift. And whether it's a gift of salvation or a gift of the Constitution, the point is that if you accept this gift, you're going to be able to pass down things better for your children than yourself. And you don't have to look at taxing the billionaires or taxing the millionaires or going, that guy's got 3 homes. Why does he need 3 homes? Why doesn't he just give 2 away? Because this person with a different color has suffered because America is oppressive. When you get to this kind of rhetoric, when you get into this woke mind virus, there's no salvation from it. Every religion has a salvation somewhere, but the woke has no salvation. The only salvation is that you just got to keep flogging yourself if you're white until you give everything away. And then, of course, the people that are demanding you give away, they don't do good either. That's equity is about dragging everybody down. So when you're talking about converting over, it's simply about detoxing from this horrible ideology that's not good for anybody, whether you're poor or you're rich, whether you're white or black, Asian, it doesn't really matter, because it's all about tearing down your lineage. And that's exactly what communism is. And so the salvation really is whether it's through Jesus, or if you don't believe in God and you're an atheist, you live in America, it's still a gift. But it's a gift that you have to accept, and it's a gift that you have to work at in order for you to pass that down to your children. Because if you don't, then your children have no future.
It's so wild. The woke mind viruses. There's a book called The Woke Mind Viruses by T.S. Dixon that's out there. It's a great read, and it really goes into the roots of, from Marx and Nietzsche and Darwin, and those are the founding fathers of deep statism, globalism, and all that, and how it all started. But anyway, The Woke Mind Virus is a great book. Do you have any books, by the way? I think you should have a book if you don't.
You think I should have a book? I've been thinking about it, but no.
Come on, man.
Right?
Call it Courage is a Habit. Let's go, Alvin.
Well, you know what? I think if we take all our tools and combine it, I can probably get a book out of it, because we certainly have, I think running a nonprofit and trying to, make sure that we keep going and reach more parents is definitely a full-time job. And it's a job that I don't take for granted. It's something that I wake up every day. I don't have a Monday or a Friday or a Saturday. It's just trying to, I love what I do. I get to talk to people like you and, listen to all the different people that are on your show and other shows. And so, for us, it's really about getting this idea of courage as a habit into the minds and the hearts of Americans or of people who come here that really love this country, because from our experience, in my opinion, a good 85%, 90% of our problems is because we've made fear a habit, or in other words, fear's been installed in us. Because so many of these things wouldn't have taken hold if people spoke up the first time it came around. Obviously, we've got wonderful shows like yours and patriots like you, and they're speaking out. But what we see is that people don't speak out until it's 20 years into it, 15 years into it, and it's already hardened and baked. And obviously, we still have to fight, but man, it's so much harder to fight when the cement's already been beaten by 15 years of hot sun, where it's so much easier when it's starting to come in. This is why our enemies are always saying things like, what's the big deal? Why are you clutching your pearls? Oh, it's not that much. Oh, it's not happening. The reason why they say these things is because they don't want you to fight when the cement is still being poured, because that's when you can change things. They want you to go, I'll give you an example. There was this one guy, this is this white guilt, pathetic male. And I had started to kind of profile him on X. And I was showing him all these videos of these Muslim takeovers in Houston and Minnesota and New York and so and so. And we would show him something and he would go, it's just a group of people standing around. It's just a permitted parade. What's the big deal? But you see how dishonest and how disingenuous these people are. And this is why we fight on the streets. This is why we take these people and make a profile of them so we can show Americans, look, when they say this to you, they're being dishonest because they want you to either be fearful or to be quiet. They want you to not notice until it's completely baked in because they know it's so hard to get out.
And to your point, though, when it comes to Islam, we're talking about specifically, at least I am from my perspective, is simply Sharia law. Sharia law is not the law of this land. It's the Constitution. I know we say that a lot, but it's true, right?
But you need to say it a lot.
Yeah, and I'll say it 5 million more times because that's the truth, So anyway, Courage is a Habit founder, Alvin Louie, thanks so much for joining us here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Where can people find you on X and all the places?
Well, Matthew, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. I love being on your show. Thank you again for the opportunity. CourageIsAHabit.org. We have a massive catalog, and the catalog that we built is for the average parent that have school-age children, because we know that that's a very busy time in their life, and these tools are beautiful, they're easy to consume, and we always give you a call to action. We don't want to talk about things that you can't help. We talk about the things that you can and should help. And our X, Facebook, Instagram is @CourageHabit, and we're a nonprofit, and so every time you share our tool, every time you share a media hit like this, it really helps us out. And of course, every time you donate to us, it goes back to our fight and our small team. And it helps us get our tools out to more parents across the country. And actually, even outside the country, we discovered that there's like 3 countries that use our tools, amazingly.
Yeah, that's awesome. So the founder of Courage is a Habit, this is Alvin Louie, and also a future author of the book titled Courage is a Habit.
Absolutely.
All right, man.
You have to write my forward.
Well, hey, we should get our PR people or your PR people to text me about...
Only if you write my forward.
Yeah, oh, there you go. Hey, loud and clear. I might have to use some grok to help me out, but anyway. All right, Alvin, thanks so much, man.
Thank you.
All right, so there you go. I mean, there's a show for you guys. And, it's Friday, July 10th. We're going to go through a couple of our sponsors. Obviously, the White House 3 o'clock event stayed closed press. Maybe it's still going to happen in the next hour. Who knows? But what we do know is when we see things that are posted, we obviously are able to replay them or post them throughout all of our social media platforms. So let's go to a couple of our closing sponsors here on this broadcast. MyPillow.com/RSBN. Mike Lindell, of course, great patriot, rock star for the conservative movement, right there on your screen. And he has a lot of great products too. What a great team of people up there in Minnesota. I'd like to check it out one of these days. Just going around the MyPillow factory. I mean, you hear a lot about these great workers there at MyPillow. And I always remember one of the box stores, I won't name them, they wouldn't sell Mike's pillows. Well, guess what happened to that box store? You go woke, you go broke, and see ya, sayonara. It's good to be on the right side. And it's good to have people like Mike Lindell doing great things out there and having a great company, mypillow.com/RSBN. Also, if you'd like to donate to the network on this Friday, July 10th, rsbnetwork.com/donate, rsbnetwork.com/donate. Hope you have a good rest of your Friday, a good weekend. A lot going on out there in that 24/7 news cycle. And I know it's the dog days of summer. It's hot in some places. Thank God for air conditioning. I don't know how people in Europe do it. A lot of them don't have it. I guess it's just not what they like. But I love it. Anyway, gonna have a great weekend with the family. Hope you do too. If there's any breaking news, you know where to find us. For all of us at Right Side Broadcasting Network, I'm Matthew Alvarez. We'll see you later.